And welcome back. We are now going to go ahead and be able to take this phrase here and apply it to our face that we worked on last time. And so what we want to do is first take these individual pieces that we had created and let's go ahead and convert these into symbols. And the reason why we want to convert these into symbols is because, again, we are going to treat these as graphic animations and we are going to be able to, from there, just use them within the appropriate keyframe. So I'm going to start first with my O information. So this is the O graphic. Then I want to make sure I select this and grab everything here within this mouth. I'm going to right click on this and let's go ahead and convert that one to symbol. This is my wide. Convert to symbol. This is open. And of course we have closed. Alright, and of course if we move this around you can see that each of these are now symbols. We didn't lose any of the pieces as we started moving them. So we are in good shape here. So what do we need to do next? Well, we need to first, before we start dragging everything into different keyframes, we need to kind of look at our expression here and decide where are the pieces of this being chopped. So for example, if I were to go ahead and look at this, I'm just going to lock these layers real quick and go to our plan layer and open that one up. I can take my line tool here just for a second to kind of draw some lines to see where this would be divided. So by syllable count, make sure I'm on the right layer. So on our plan layer we have O, wide, closed, and open. So if we think about this from our text layer standpoint, we have effectively a break in syllables here. There's one after the O, and then there's its own. So we really should have three different pieces here where this mouth is at least moving. Now we could of course have more. So for example, this mouth may start closed, which allows us to effectively have a fourth animation. So with that in mind, let's now go ahead and get ready to grab these different pieces here and put them into place. And what I'm going to do, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to create one new layer here, and I'm going to call this dialogue. So this is where that dialogue is actually going to happen on this layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unlock the mouth layer here. And let's go ahead and start with our closed mouth animation. And I'm going to go ahead and just copy that and go back to my dialogue layer, paste that, and then we can go ahead and move that into place. And so this character is going to start here with a closed mouth dialogue. And what we want to do is transition that between the different animations, which means we're probably going to have like motion tweens and stuff like that we're going to use. Now, this is going to be a pretty quick animation where he moves up into his hello there. And so we, of course, need to think about now with this hello, which one is probably the hello part and which one's more the th for the there. I would argue that this second part is probably more the there, whereas like here is the intake, so his mouth is probably a little more closed, whereas here he's breathing out like hello, so he's breathing in, and then there, breathing out. So I'm going to actually use this animation right here, copy that, and I'm going to go ahead and go to, I can either have this happen right away or make it go slow, but I'm just going to do keyframe 5 here. So let's insert a keyframe on our dialogue, and let's go ahead and paste this in. And so that's now going to sit there over top of the last one. And we can now motion tween this. And so it will then transition between those. And you notice it did have another one here. So apparently I added a second mouth in here. So let me just delete that one. There we go. Reapply that motion tween. And you can see now we have it moving open. And we want that to go to our hello. And so let's just go ahead and put that here somewhere around frame 10. So let's insert another keyframe. I'm now going to copy the mouth. Paste that in place. Let's go ahead and move that to here. And again, create a motion tween. And you'll see it go. We now have this moving, but it did not remove our existing mouthpiece here. So we have to make sure that that gets kind of deleted off at that moment here. Because we didn't see that happen here because that new mouth came in. So we just have to make sure that that piece gets delete it out of there when we get to this frame. Otherwise, we have this kind of artifact that's sitting in the background here. All right, now, he's not going to immediately go back to having this wide open mouth for there. This mouth actually needs to come closed again. So I'm going to, again, insert another keyframe. I'm going to copy my closed mouth expression. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in place, move that over top. At that point, I'm going to delete out that one, create the motion tween. And so now his mouth is now closed. And let's go to frame 20. And remember, we want the narrower mouth, so we're going to copy that one. So insert a keyframe at 20, paste that in, bring that over top, do our motion tween. And then for frame 25, let's go ahead and just have that mouth close one more time. So copy, go to frame 25, insert keyframe, paste that in, bring that on in, and delete the previous mouth. Now you'll notice when I do this, that I always insert a new keyframe. And the reason for that is we want to be able to make sure that these pieces here are separated out in such a way that it's going to work naturally. So again, create motion tween. All right. Now, of course, we have our animation set, so let's just hit play. And of course, you can see now we have dialogue. Now, we could come in here and adjust these different pieces. So we could really work on the timing of this to really fine-tooth this down to make a nice, smooth animation. But for the purpose of today's exercise, I wanted to really just get you the practice of how we do this. I'm not looking for you to have this down to an art right away, because again, this is simply just taking the different techniques that we've done and applying them in such a way that we can use it to create a sort of dialogue from this character. And again, and there's only 4 movements that we did here. There are, of course, numerous other movements that we could apply, or different other mouths that we could create, that you can really then create a character with much bigger dialogue. And you can do other things too. You could come in here and edit the face, so the face is moving too, because very rarely when we are talking, if you think about it, our face usually is not sitting still. We are, of course, moving our jaw and stuff like that as well. But for the purpose of just learning how to create basic dialogue, this should give you enough to kind of get your foot in the door.